Welcome to the Realizations Podcast. I'm Andrea Gordon, your host, and I'm excited to explore the world of real estate with you. In a world where perceptions often overshadow reality, Realizations seeks to redefine what it means to be a realtor. Join me as we peel back the layers of the industry, uncovering inspiring stories and celebrating the good in real estate. Whether you're a homeowner, a fellow realtor, or simply curious, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Realizations, where perceptions meet reality. Let's dive right in. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Andrea Gordon, your host on Realizations, the podcast about all things real estate. My guest today is the incredible Erin Bradley, who is just a rocket star, a rock agent, a rock star, anything you want to say about her. She's like fast, let's put it that way, and has done amazing things in her career thus far. So welcome, welcome. I've heard a little bit about you. You are in Winter Park, Colorado, and you came up through the mortgage side. And you initially were very influenced by the Go-Giver strategy. Tell us a little bit about that. What is the Go-Giver strategy? Tell me.
Yeah, so the go-giver philosophy is sort of the antithesis of being the go-getter. And the idea is that the goal is to give more in value that you hope to receive in payment, or give value above and beyond what you get paid to do. And I read it when I was about 4 years into the business. And the first year was just financial rock bottom and is mortifying, like maxed out credit cards, absolutely terrified of sales, being seen as salesy. I didn't want to follow any of the antiquated sales tactics because they all just felt icky and self-serving. And so therefore I did probably nothing and then found myself broke. But I had desperation in 2011. No, sorry, in 2008, in desperation, I asked my dad for advice, and he said, if you think you're going to be good at this, do whatever it takes. And so I opened another credit card and I hired the coaches, and I said, Coach, like, I'm desperate. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And so for the next few years, I just literally did exactly what I was told, whether or not I liked it or not. Right. I mean, I remember saying to my husband, I just don't know if I'm cut out for this business because everything just feels really inauthentic. And I understand, like, there's the action plan. You got to do the things. You're right. You got to make the calls, write the notes, see the people, to get the leads, to get the deals, to get the money, to pay the bills, to solve my problem. It's all about me. It's just a me problem.
Right.
I muscled through the activity because I was desperate. I truly had maxed out all my credit cards and had my credit card declined for a $2 cup of coffee in front of a client in 2008.
Oh, mortifying.
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember it was fine. I was closing deals. I was closing 30 some transactions a year. It was fine. I was paying my bills, but it wasn't awesome. And it didn't feel very fun or enjoyable. And I was just kind of muscling through the activity, mustering up the courage and doing the things. So when I read The Go-Giver in 2011, it was just this light bulb, an absolute paradigm shift, because I realized that up until that point, every ounce of marketing I was doing, every bit of activity I was doing was with the hidden agenda of, I hope I get something out of this, right? A lot of push marketing about me and how great I am as a real estate professional. It's like nobody really cares unless they actually need my services. And that only happens once every 3, 5, 7 years. So I thought, what does it really mean to be a resource to people, even when they don't need my services? And so I remember hearing this quote that it's when you step back from the single brushstroke that you can see the entire painting. And I thought to myself, okay, so what I get paid to do is execute this transaction, right? And that's one brushstroke of the painting. But life continues to go on after the closing table. And so I got really curious. I started reaching out to my clients and friends and saying, listen, I want to be a resource. I want you to think of me when you need anything, not just real estate. And I'm going to build this referral directory like an old school Yellow Pages. And I want you to think of me as your Rolodex. And with that, I'm wondering if you know a good fill in the blanks. So I started with a list of businesses, and then I worked to fill that list. Everything from financial services like CPA and insurance and, estate attorney, financial advisors, to home contractors, handyman, cleaning services, flooring people, roofers, all the way to health and wellness. Because if somebody relocates, which back in Denver in 2011, we were blowing up. And so we had a lot of people moving to Denver. And
Hmm.
I had this realization they need a dentist, they need a pediatrician, right? They
Oh
need
yeah, absolutely.
so I thought I should have health and wellness services. And so as I started calling my friends, then I would leverage these relationships to connect me with their trusted five-star professionals in all these arenas. And then I would make sure that on that conversation, I would look for the brushstroke of the painting. So what's going on with you? How have you been? How's the summer? How are the kids? How's everything? And inevitably we find out something that's going on in their life. And then
Hmm.
we demonstrate our intention to be a resource by having some form of follow up. So that could be as simple as a thoughtful note that it was great to hear your voice. And I'm so sorry to hear about what's going on, or I'm so excited for you, whatever. Or
Right,
it might
right.
be a recommendation for a local service provider. And so as I met these other service providers, I would look for people that were energized by the idea of growth and collaboration and just authenticity and fun. And when I would meet people like that, I genuinely wanted to be a go-giver. I didn't have any agenda other than how can I support you in your journey? And so
Hmm.
that could look like a book recommendation to another business owner of a book that has been helping me in my business, or it could be we create a workshop together, either, in person or nowadays virtually. Like maybe I bring the estate attorney on and do a webinar and I invite all of my clients to know
Hmm.
the importance of having a will or trust in place to protect your estate after you've bought your first home. Or maybe it's real estate investing workshops or it's client appreciation events, whatever. However, we could creatively bring our energy together and create a ripple effect. And that was really the gist of it. It is a limitless approach because the snowball never stops because
Right.
every conversation has something going on. Somebody always has, life is always happening. There's always a brushstroke of the painting. So you just got to find the brushstroke and then be a resource. That's it.
Hmm. And how do you feel about, I mean, I'm going to turn this on its head a little bit here because you're just giving, 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 giving. Um, what about Erin? What does Erin need in the middle of all of that?
Well, it's an interesting question because this is basically two different frequencies to the same destination, right? The destination is growth, financial stability,
Mhm.
abundance, impact, right? Connection. And there's two ways to go about that. I could go to the sales trainer. The sales trainer tells me exactly how many phone calls to make and notes to write and
Right.
appointments to have and all the things. And we can map out the perfect marketing calendar for my business. And the moment I go to engage in that activity, who am I thinking about?
Well, yourself, obviously.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel great. So there's often, and I see this time and again now that I am coaching full time and have been for a long time, that I'm not alone in this. There's
Hmm.
resistance, there's dread, there's
Hmm.
procrastination, there's
Hmm.
a lack of consistency, there's a lack of execution. Because the moment I start to feel insecure about what are we going to talk about, they don't need to buy right now. They have a rate of 3%. I helped them refinance 3 years ago. That's a me problem.
Hmm.
And because I'm thinking about me, I don't want to pick up the phone and call because I literally am so preoccupied by what this person is going to think of me and what we're going to talk about that it stifles me and I become bottlenecked. And then even if I force myself to pick up the phone and make the dang call,
Hmm.
I end up just checking a box. I'm not even present in the state of curiosity and how to serve. I'm just so caught up in my own stuff and I'm in my head and it just doesn't feel great. So what I like to do is say like table my agenda for a minute. Take my work hat off because my work hat feels kind of heavy, right?
Hmm.
Be the version of me that I am with my loved ones. And you be the version of you are with your loved ones. When your
Hmm.
most favorite person on the planet is struggling with something, what's the
Hmm.
first thing you want to do? You want to troubleshoot, you problem solve, you make recommendations, you make introductions.
Right.
When they're celebrating, you're there, like celebrating, loving, being excited, being engaged. It's like you are alive, and you are a force and you are a magnet. That is the way we are when we are in our state of being, right? When we're just our true self. And then we
Hmm.
put the work hat on and we start shoulding like I should do this. I
Right.
need to do this.
Right.
I
Right.
have to do this. And it all feels super heavy. So I
Mm-hmm.
say take the work hat off and come from a place of curiosity. The curiosity will dissolve your insecurity the moment you say, how can I get to the bottom of what's going on with you? Because
Mm-hmm.
one thing is for sure, Andrea, if you woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning last night and you couldn't fall back asleep, I know with 100% certainty you were not thinking about my pipeline, my
Mm-hmm.
bank account, my business, nothing about me. You were thinking about whatever you're worried about or whatever you're excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And if I make it my mission and then I find a way to be of value to you, what does it do for me? It turns the light on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more present and more alive and more energized when I can make somebody's day. And that energy is going to translate into every interaction I have.
Right, right,
So
right.
I'm no longer dimming the light with
Mm-hmm.
all this should and have to. And as a result, because it's easier, because it's more fun, I'm more inclined to be unleashed in the activity. So the execution happens because each interaction leads to multiple more interact like every interaction leads to more action items because I'm either going to connect you with somebody or you're going to connect me with somebody. So I never have to sit down and say, what should I do today? Because I have a mountain of opportunities to connect, to meet, to make connections. So that execution is happening with the highest level of energy and frequency and consistency, which is a totally different way than what it felt like when I was doing it because I thought I should, so I could get a lead, so I could get a deal, so I could solve my problem.
Right,
You know,
right, right. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. What do you do about clients you don't like?
you mean if I have a client and I don't like them,
Mm-hmm.
well, either I would, if I feel we're really not a fit, then the first thing I'm going to do is make a recommendation that I can connect you with somebody that's probably a better fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's just that the transaction got sticky and when I look at their name, I don't feel energized by the idea of staying in contact, I just don't. They
Mm-hmm.
could stay on my mailing list and on my email list, but I like to think of the database as a garden in the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
And in the garden in the spring, there's weeds, there's stuff that pops up that's pretty every year. There's stuff that
Mm-hmm.
you plant on purpose, and there's stuff that's been there all along that you've never really evaluated if you like it or not. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's a matter of uprooting the garden and really selecting those people in my life that feel like energizers,
Mm-hmm.
really getting curious to think about what it could look like to be of value to them based on their stage of life, their interests, hobbies, and then plant them in the garden and then nurture those relationships so that they multiply. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a million different ways to do that that can look really like niching down this strategy.
Mm-hmm.
If I know this person is military, for example, they're going to have different needs because of their constant relocation. If I know they're young parents, if I know they're dealing with aging parents, they're
Mm-hmm.
downsizing, they're upsizing, they're empty nesters, they're whatever, they're investors. Based on what I know of them, I can find a way to really hone in on developing a customized tribe of service providers that can really help them on that journey that they're on. And
Mm-hmm.
what's interesting for us evolves. Like,
Yeah.
so
No, I had for the first time in a really long time the other day, I ended up taking a cold call from somebody coming in. And the guy on the phone was like, I'm an AI engineer. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. I could tell he and I weren't really a fit, but I thought, what the heck? And I went and showed him and his wife some properties. And I was showing him around the house and started to talk to him about the schools in the area and the parks. And he goes, no, 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 no. I don't need any of that personal stuff. AI tells me everything. I take 10 minutes every morning to figure out what AI is going to tell me about whatever it is. All I need for you to do is to verify whether the disclosure packet is good or not. And I looked at him and I just burst out laughing. And I said, I am so sorry, but I disagree with you profoundly. He goes, that's all right. You can disagree with me profoundly, but AI is correct. And and we were in this house in the middle of no place, and I said, well, AI isn't always correct. For my PhD, I had to do an assignment and I was late and I asked it to do an annotated bibliography for me and it was perfect. It came out looking beautiful. But then I went to look up the books that it had pulled for me and none of them actually existed. And then I asked AI, why did you lie to me on my annotated bibliography? And it said, because I wanted to please you. And he said, well, that was operator error. And I said, there's a potential for malfeasance in AI that's rather profound. And he looked at me and he goes, stop asking me personal questions. And I turned to him and I said, we are not a fit. And I'm sorry that you don't like me. And he was like horrified that I would actually say something like that out loud. And
Yeah.
I said, I'm happy to refer you to somebody else, but I don't think this is going to work. And he was like, it never even occurred to him that I was going to do something like that. And I felt really, really good when I walked back to my car because I had actually realized that it just was impossible. And he was awful. He was actually genuinely awful. So this was an experience I had just recently that I'm sharing with you because there are a lot of really difficult people out there. And you are so primed to help, 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 help. Sometimes you can't help people. Have you noticed that?
I don't know. I feel like if I come into my day looking for a way to be of value to people and curious on how to enjoy my day and connect with people from a place of authenticity and call people I love and find ways to be a resource to them, then I feel more unfiltered and there's no agenda. I'm not tethered to an outcome and I feel like I tend to attract people that match that frequency. So
Yeah, and that's the same for me too. This was just a rarity for me, but I was so bizarre. It was like I felt like I was in a Seinfeld episode or something. I mean, it was so bad.
yeah, I mean, for sure. And I just say bless and release. The best piece of advice I got in 2015 from one of my coaches was this 25% rule. And basically, 25% of people will love you no matter what, and you probably know who they are. 25% never will, no matter what, and you probably know who they are too. And the 50% in between are just fair weather friends, or maybe they haven't met you yet. And it
Mhm.
became so much easier then to not get hung up on anybody that felt like an energy drain because it was just a
Mhm.
simple, not my 25%. That means 1 out of 4 people are going to be in resonance with me. And that means 3 out of 4 will not. And even as I'm building the tribe of service providers that I'm connected to, if it doesn't feel like a hell yes, it's probably a no. And that's
Right.
okay. And that means that even with that strategy, as I'm connecting with a financial advisor and then they don't return my phone call or we don't vibe or whatever, it's so easy to say like, well, that makes sense because 3 out of 4 people are probably not going to be in alignment with me right now in this season of my life. And that's fine. I'm going to keep going until I focus and just focus on my 25%. And I remember thinking, man, if only I had that advice when I was young, like
Oh,
not trying to
absolutely.
please everybody. It's just like you can totally accept. It's interesting because there's this conversion ratio, it's pretty conservative, but let's say conservatively 50% of your leads, meaning every time someone says, I gave your name to so and so, or I want to pick your brain, I count everything like that, I count as a lead. Okay.
Mhm.
Because it's like I'm focusing on the positive. And if only
Right.
50% of those actually turn into an appointment, just because they're not ready, they never got back to me, it just didn't go anywhere. And then 50% of those appointments turn into a closing. Then if I want to be consistently closing, say 5 transactions a month, that's 10 appointments a month, that's 20 leads a month, right?
Mhm.
So if you think of it from that perspective, if I want 20 leads a month, that divided by 4 weeks, it's an average of 5 leads a week. So essentially, however many closings per month I'm looking to have, I want to have that many leads per week. Well, all that to say is that's a 25% rule too. That means
Mhm.
20 leads turns into five closings, right?
Right.
Many people have higher conversion ratios than that. Like more, you
Mhm.
convert more of your leads to meet with you and more of your meetings close. But even with that simple conversion ratio, it's like, yeah, it's 25%. Like, no big deal. This person didn't choose me. No big deal. If I
Right.
let it get me down, it's going to sap my energy. And if my energy is sapped, I'm not in the mood to talk to people. And if I don't talk to people, I'm not being of value. So there's a domino effect there. So
Yeah.
it all stems from within. It's like I want to manage the light within me, the energy within me. And it's for me, it's energizing to connect with people that are energizing and then find ways to be of value to them. And the business comes as the byproduct of the contribution.
You're preaching to the choir. I totally love what you're talking about. It's wonderful. So one of the things I've heard you say a lot is the word coach. You're a coach for people. Do you currently have a coach of your own?
Multiple, yes. I have not been without a coach since 2008. So I
Hmm.
have strategic coaches. I have communities I invest in. I'm part of a couple masterminds that I love for different reasons and different needs, and they evolve over time, you know? So, spent many years learning how to build my confidence and my, honor my own authenticity and personality and not try to fit the mold because I can't fit the mold.
Right.
And many years in a coaching community with one-on-one coaching, learning how to scale my business, how to hire, when to hire, what systems to put in place. And yeah, always investing in myself. I heard something interesting. If we're unwilling to invest in ourselves, whether it's to hire somebody to help us in our business or to hire a coach, then why would we expect anyone else to? Because essentially, our fear of investing in ourselves is some lack of belief, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you don't believe in yourself enough to invest in yourself, why do we expect anyone else to?
I agree with you totally. That's well said. That's well said. I hope it's in your book. Now,
No, I swiped that from my mentor. I got that from somebody else.
so what is the name of your book and where can people find it?
It's called Pursuing Freedom and it lives on Amazon. It's a very small little book.
Mhm.
Same name as my podcast and my community is all Pursuing Freedom.
That's lovely. That's wonderful. Now, question a little aside here. In Colorado, are you experiencing what we're experiencing in the market in California in the real estate industry? Or
Just
is it slowed down a little bit right now?
it's very weird right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it like. There'll be one house that gets like 15 offers and
Yes.
five houses that get nothing.
Yep.
The realtors are all very, very enthusiastic, but the buyers are still sitting back wondering what the hell's going on and whether they should do anything.
Yep.
I found myself recently with my assistants are both licensed realtors and they have their own buyer clients that I refer to them usually. And so we had an attorney who was an immigration attorney and worked at in San Francisco at the courthouse. And because of everything that's going on, he was in fear for his job. And lo and behold, while we were in process of doing the transaction, he did indeed lose his job, making it impossible for him to buy what he originally was going to buy. There's a lot of that going on right now. There are a lot of companies that are moving out of different places. I think that the buyers actually wisely are thinking I should put the brakes on this and figure it out for a little bit. And obviously that's killing the real estate industry, right at the moment, but I think it will get better as soon as there's some change in the interest rate, some change in a sense of more certainty in the market. Um, so I'm always curious when I'm talking to people in other places what it's like. And so far, by the way, everybody I talk to all across the country is having the exact same experience. Everyone, the first words are usually some form of "it's weird out there." So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's also interesting because I think that so inside of my community, we're seeing these really crazy, radical, unusual quantum leaps. Like I
Mhm.
had a gal that joined my community just a couple about 6 weeks ago. And she was just in a bit of a slump and in a funk. And she came onto the call yesterday and she's like, as of a week ago, I had zero under contract. And as of today, I have eight under contract.
Whoa.
And this is happening all day, every day. This one agent, she's in her 60s. She's been selling real estate a really long time, had her best month ever, seven closings in June. All one after the other. One of my members today said she has 10 contracts for closing in August. And I'm like, how is it that there's a bubble of abundance in a chaotic world? And a lot of it really is this willingness to shift the energy from the inside out.
Mhm.
And if folks don't acknowledge that. And let's say you're feeling low, you're feeling anxious or frustrated or worried, uncertain, overwhelmed, and all of that is valid given all the external circumstances around you, right? From that state of being low, it's really hard to slap a band-aid of action on that. Like
Right.
action isn't the antidote to a low emotional state. And so we talk a lot about finding ways to shift the energy from within. And we did an activity yesterday, like within 5 to 10 minutes after doing this check-in and then doing this reflection process, we checked in again. And within 10 minutes, the words that people shared, I said, "How do you feel now?" And they said things like happy, hopeful, peaceful, excited, energized. And it's like from there, you can reconnect with the relationships in your life from a place of lightness and peace and authenticity and engagement. Because from this place of negativity, it's really hard to muster up the energy to
Right.
go take action and be of service to anybody because we're so just in the darkness, right? And
Hmm.
so the magic is in figuring out what it means for each individual to ignite the flame within without needing anything external to be different because we can't change what's external. We can
Correct.
only control the light within us. And there's a lot of people that appreciate being connected with when you tend to that energy first, because then
Mhm.
you can truly be you can truly find ways to connect when you're present better than you can when you're muscling through activity, hoping it's going to solve the problems. It's
Right.
and so we do a lot of that work, and it sounds maybe too woo for somebody. Like they just like tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'm like,
I'm in Berkeley, California. There is nothing that could be possibly too woo for me.
oh yeah, it's been really, really fascinating and just fun. I mean, it's been fun to see what's possible. And you know, a lot of that does require a pivoting, but again, sometimes it's just like we take the house down to the studs to evaluate the foundation and pull out any of the stuff that is no longer interesting to us. Just because it's been there all along doesn't mean I still like it. Just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I enjoy it. Like we just have to kind of be constantly willing to sort of reimagine our future in a way that feels interesting and exciting so we can run towards our desires, our goals, our impact from this place of lightness rather than looking backwards and then saying when the external world changes I'll be okay. Like it doesn't work that. We can't wait for that, or you know, and those who are in that state are struggling very
Mhm.
much.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
I heard some weird statistic that 71% of realtors in 2024 did not make a single sale.
wow.
Yeah. But, you know, fortunately, I'm in the top half of 1% in the country. So I felt good about my work last year and I feel really good about it this year. But I also see that there are extenuating circumstances that cause people not to be able to make things work. And there are, which they can't do anything about. But at the same time, staying positive is super important when you are a real estate agent or a mortgage broker because you are in a way that energy that you have in the situation sort of it will imbue the situation with whatever energy you are bringing to it. And I think that's the same in anything. I mean, it's sort of like that book, The Secret. See, talk about woo. Um,
Yeah.
you know, you will get more of what you put out into the world. And so if you are putting negativity into the world, you'll get negativity back. If your expectations are negative, you will you will be satisfied because you will get negativity back. If you put positivity out there, positivity comes back to you. For example, I was not having a great month this month, and one of my clients, who's a very wealthy guy, um, called me up out of the blue and said that he was getting a divorce and that he wanted to buy a house in Menlo Park. And would I represent him? And I said, sure. And Menlo Park's pretty far away from me, by the way. It's like I want to say about 50 miles. And in traffic, it's about a 2 hour trek.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so yeah, the traffic can be really horrible in the Bay Area. I don't know what it's like in Denver, but in we're in what Winter Springs, is it? Did you say?
Well, I'm in a tiny little town with like two traffic lights, so I
Oh,
don't.
there you go. It can be horrific. So I decided rather than hold on to it myself and set myself up for potential failure because I wouldn't be able to jump and go do something in 2 seconds flat because he's over there already and I'm here. I found a friend of mine who's at another brokerage even, and we decided to split him as a client because that was much more, and it's a huge deal. It's almost $7 million. So I felt that I did a good thing by bringing my friend on the other side on because I'm serving the needs of my client to the best of my ability so that he's there and can show him 150 properties. And also, I bring my expertise in negotiations, what have you, to help my clients. So it was a win-win for literally everybody. And we got him a super deal on a house that had been the seller's expectations were rather higher than their list price, and I got it for him for under list price. Um, and so it's almost like being a little kid on Christmas morning all the time in real estate because there's something great around the corner. There's something new under the tree that you were hoping for. There's something there. And I was sort of getting depressed, and all of a sudden, one phone call. And then 3 days later, I was in contract on a $7 million property. So
Wild. It's
yeah.
awesome.
So what you say is true. It's like, and that came, I've done 7 transactions with this guy, by the way. And I've done transactions for his whole family. And I did a transaction for his boss. And I did a transaction for his boss's friend, actually. So from a good relationship, incredible things happen. And that's been the largest part. What I've really taken away from this conversation with you today is that networking is everything, and that feeling positive in relationship to networking is everything, and bringing positivity to everything that you do is kind of everything, and taking that expertise that you have in an authentic way and not putting yourself in the center, putting the other person in the center is kind of everything. Would that be a good summarization of what we've been talking about?
Yeah, it's just funny because I heard a mentor of mine say I'm allergic to striving. She was saying like if I attach an outcome to it, it instantly suffocates me and stifles me. And I resonate with that so much. I thought she's speaking the words straight out of my soul. And it's interesting because you said the important thing is networking. And when you said networking, I felt my like the valve close.
Oh,
Because it's like it's so funny. If I think of it like if I call it lead gen or marketing or
oh
talk
yeah, yeah, yeah.
about
I'm not talking about that.
yeah,
I'm talking about true networking. I mean,
yeah,
remember, I'm a theater director and playwright, so
yeah,
I have this amazing, I mean, I have circus performers and actors and designers and people like that all around me all the time.
yeah,
That's my network. And the network that you survive within is a powerful thing because that's your tribe. That's who you belong with. And
yep.
so that's what I mean when I say networking.
No, totally. It is funny though because somebody was like making fun of me because of my trigger, my like the words that trigger me, and I'm like, I don't know where that came from or what that is. But
Oh,
it's
I get it.
like if I just wake up and I take my time in the morning to check in with myself and see where am I on the emotional scale and do the things I like to do to turn the light on, to feel energized, to feel excited, feel peaceful, feel ready, eager. I always get impulses to connect with people out of the blue. Maybe they pop into my feed, they pop into my mind, and I will literally just act on that
Oh
impulse.
yeah.
And then it is like the craziest. It's like the synchronicities that happen, then these collaborations and new ideas are formed, and it's just like this energy, and I know I keep repeating myself with that, but it is wild how absolutely clear it is, the evidence all around what is possible. And to your point, like if 74% of agents had zero closings last year, but some people have been on my podcast and had their best year ever last year. Well, what's the difference, right? And we
Exactly.
cannot deny this. We can't deny the energy piece because when you go out there and you let your light shine, even when it's darkness all around, you become
Mhm.
like a lighthouse in the storm. The ships come to port, but you didn't script it. You didn't go hunt them down and bring them to you. The stars aligned and the paths cross. And then you make new friends and you have clients and things happen. And it's like, it's so much more interesting to be curious about the unknown and the unfolding than to feel like I have to have it all figured out because I never
Yeah.
have it all figured out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm getting my PhD in something called transformative studies. And it's all about that. It's all about the questions that take you to other questions more than it is answers. And I think that that's all of life, honestly.
Yeah.
You are amazing, and we've done it today. And I'm really glad that I have you now in my universe because you're a wonderful person, and I really, really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Oh, good. Good, good, good. Well, Erin Bradley, everybody, if you're ever in Winter Springs, is it again?
Winter Park.
Winter Park, I got it wrong. If you're ever in Winter Park, Colorado, or anywhere near it, look her up because she's just an incredible human, and I'm really pleased that you came here today. This is great.
Thank
All
you so
right. Well, very good. Thank you. And I guess I'm going to be on your show, and you can ask me all kinds of crazy questions.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I write children's books along with other things. I have a children's book on Amazon called Yo-Yo in a Tree.
Awesome.
I have another one coming out, which is called Stanley and Emma Go to the Bird Store.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then I have plays happening all the time. Check out rainbowzebra.org and you'll get an idea of the theater work that I do. I've been a director and writer in the area where I live, and actually all across the United States, most of California, for the over 40 years at this point. And to pay for my theater habit, I became a realtor and realized that theater and real estate are kind of analogous skill sets in a lot of ways, honestly.
Yeah, right? I feel like coming from being a teacher and a bartender, I had everything I needed for customer service.
Bingo. Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
Anyway,
all right, well, I think I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Yes, you will. Take good care. Bye.
Have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Realizations Podcast. I hope our conversation has shed light on the true essence of real estate and the people behind it. As we wrap up, I want to extend my gratitude to our listeners for their support and engagement. Your feedback drives the heart of this podcast, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to the Realizations Podcast and leaving a review. Your support helps us reach more listeners and spread our message of positivity in the real estate industry. Until next time, remember to keep an open mind, embrace empathy, and always seek the good in every situation. I'm Andrea Gordon, signing off from Realizations. See you next time.